Joanna, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mary. Welcome, friends. Greetings to you all. Before we begin, I wanted to thank each of you for honoring your inner guidance that brought you here tonight. In this talk, I'm offering an introduction to energy healing with the hands and occurring within the biofield. If you aren't already familiar with the application of hand healing that reinforces health and personal growth, tonight you'll learn that the power really is in your hands to bring about safe, effective, holistic healing, which empowers you in your own personal journey. This work asks you to trust in your inner guidance and trust in your bodies to communicate to you what is happening within your inner world. Why is this important? This is important because today, the world we live in, we have chalked to-do lists. We are multitasking, and we have pressures and more distractions than ever before in human history. So in our day-to-day lives, we may not have conscious awareness of what our own individual body, mind, and spirits need to thrive. If the topic of energetic healing continues to interest you after you leave here tonight, I strongly encourage each of you to seek out books by qualified, experienced authors and to find teachers of the same ilk to support you in your learning and personal growth. Now, I know that we'll have an opportunity for questions and answers throughout the discussion. So I'd like to ask anyone who has a question to please raise their hand, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. If for some reason from where I'm sitting on my screen, I don't see your hand raised, Mary will let me know that there is someone in the audience who has a question that needs to be answered. Okay. Pam?
Yes.
Can I ask you to mute on your end?
Yep.
Thank you. So throughout this discussion, I'll talk about energy practitioners, energy healers, and the healer. I use these terms because they're the more commonly recognized job titles per se. But I have to admit that I am, 20 years into this work, I am still very much on the fence about the words healer and practitioner. I feel that these words imply that we're doing something to the recipient or holding some authoritative influence over them. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with the use of either of these terms, but for me personally, it seems to create a distance between the healer and the healed. So for me, there feels like this degree of separation between the two. When I'm working with a client or a loved one, the way I view the relationship and the work we're doing is as a sacred partnership. So between my partner, the one who's receiving the energy healing, and myself, the one who is channeling it, in this partnership, both parties are very much present. Both parties are very much working together to bring about a desired outcome. But naturally, if we are just channeling energy healing for ourselves, that's not the case at all. So as I said, I will be using these terms. You decide which terms work best for you. So let's just, what we're going to do next is take a few minutes and trying to scroll through here. There we go. All right, I've got my slides working. So we're going to take a few minutes to look at what the biofield actually is exactly, for those of us who might still be a little bit unfamiliar with the term. Here I have a picture of Albert Szent-Györgyi. He was a Hungarian physiologist, and he won the 1937 Nobel Prize in Medicine. His statement here pretty sums up what our topic of discussion is tonight, in that in every culture, in every medical tradition before ours, healing was accomplished by moving energy. So what is the biofield? It is the field that contains electromagnetic and subtle energy which surrounds us and interpenetrates the body. It makes up the body's energy atmosphere. It's also traditionally recognized by the term the aura. Most people are more familiar with this term. The biofield, it fosters physical, psychological, and spiritual health and vitality. The electromagnetic signature of the biofield is directly associated with the energy of that organism's genetic makeup. So we have from ancient teachings how this body of energy is fed. If you're familiar with traditional Chinese medicine or traditional Indian medicine, you'll be familiar with terms such as meridians and nadis. So the biofield is fed via the subtle energy pathways of the body, known to many as the meridians or the nadis, and the minor and the 7 major chakras, which are also from traditional Indian medicine. And the chakras are the body's energy centers of consciousness that run along the length of the spine. Our biofield, a biofield has 2 major functions. First, it protects our bodies from external inharmonious energies, and it bridges a connection to energies that are in harmony with us, that resonate with us. For example, when we feel drawn to a particular person or a particular food or activity that makes us feel uplifted and energized. We're also aware, thanks to research in the scientific field, that DNA's response to pulsing magnetic fields, whether they're toxic or beneficial, it's well documented. And we know that outside energy fields can cause a wide variety of differing physical occurrences due to their effects of DNA within the body. Below, you'll see on the slide is a quote from one of my favorites, Dr. James Oshman, who's the author of Energy Medicine, The Scientific Basis. And he explains that the matrix of energy, the matrix being the biofield, the energy atmosphere of the body, exerting its vital influences upon the cellular dynamics just as much as hormones and neurotransmitters. Is that someone's hand raised in the back? Or just someone's, okay. All right. So biofield therapy itself refers to a group of therapies that affect change in people's health and well-being by interacting directly with their biofield. When energy healing through the hands is performed, it's the biofield that's connected with first. So hand healing is one form of biofield therapy, also known as bioenergy therapy. And biofield therapies are part of an evolving field known as energy medicine. The application of hand healing by an appropriately trained practitioner has observed effectiveness in numerous studies and a vast number of diseases of the body and mind, including nervous system diseases, which are consequences of migraine, hemicrania continua, nervous illnesses, psychosomatic diseases, bronchial asthma, nocturnal enuresis, gastric ulcer, various allergies, ovarian cysts, tumor growth, sterility, arthritic pain, and other kinds of pain. One of my clients that has been coming to see me since 2014, she eventually trained in a form of bioenergy therapy so that she could facilitate daily healing for herself. She was a sufferer of AS, and just from our bi-monthly sessions of energy healing, she went from feeling incapacitated because of her pain to being able to actually perform her activities of daily living without any interference of the pain. And because of the remarkable results that she experienced, that's when she sought out training for herself so that she could facilitate it on a daily basis. Yes, Pat?
When you said AS, can you just clarify what AS is?
Oh, sure. So it's a rheumatoid disease that affects the spinal joints. It causes extreme pain. The pain can radiate to the hips. It can radiate in the legs, various parts of the body. There are varying degrees of symptoms. The predominant symptoms are the pain and fatigue, there's still the causes are still unknown, and there is no known cure, but a lot of these patients are treated by their physicians with pain medication. And do you have a question?
Well, I just had one of the things that I've come to think of when somebody has pain is that it's actually blocked energy that's stopped in that area. And then when you use your hands, it releases that, right?
Right. And that's the experience that she had. She was able to describe even after the first session that she felt an immediate release and she felt a surge of energy. And in the areas that she experienced the most pain, she felt like a pulsing kind of sensation followed by pins and needles. So we in our consultation prior to the session, I explained to her what she might experience and how biofield therapy works. And so she was able to connect the dots of pre and post session. So she had a better understanding of what she was experiencing because of that discussion. So yes, we will discuss blockages later on in the discussion tonight. But yes, absolutely, energetic blockages are a definitive cause of pain within the body. Yeah. Okay. Biofield therapy is also used to relieve the pain caused by cancer, and many of the clients that I see, as with some of my colleagues, a lot of hospitals and clinics refer to energy healing practitioners to be able to facilitate sessions for their patients undergoing chemotherapy, because it's also been found to dramatically reduce the incidence of nausea following chemo. So that's one of the predominant reasons why a lot of different places like the Mayo Clinic utilize energy healers to facilitate biofield healing. Okay. Oops, sorry. So getting used to this. Energy healing through the hands is safe, it is effective, it is natural. It's also known as bioenergetics and falls within the parameters of energy medicine. Energy medicine is a wide and varied field. It includes a wide range of hands-on and hands-off techniques and devices or concepts of energy, heat, light, chemicals, sound, gravity, pressure, vibration, electricity, magnetism, electromagnetism, and mind, body, spirit, the basic forms of energy that surround and penetrate us on a daily basis. So biofield therapy is very safe, it's very natural. There have been no contraindications found in any of the studies conducted, and it is very accessible to all. All right, so now we're gonna just take a little look at the history of energy healing with the hands right now. So our physical world is made of energy. The electric and magnetic fields of energy surround and penetrate us. And beyond these measurable fields are the subtler energies, which we know now as subtle energy. These subtler energies can also be called life force energy or universal energy fields, and they shape, animate, and support the physical body. This is the energy that the healer uses to restore balance within the recipient's biofield. So having an understanding of the role of electric and magnetic fields in our bodies and our world will help us to interact with our bodies and heal them, and help us to connect with the outside world and create peace within our communities. But first, we have to find a meaningful non-verbal form of communication between ourselves and the energies that our bodies in this world are made of. Attuning ourselves to energetic messages of our inner world in our bodies and learning how to interact with them is the place to start in this process of discovery. And understanding energy is the essence of the world's most ancient spiritual traditions. It is the secret of the traditions that are practiced in the East, in the Pacific Islands, in the Andes, in Northern American indigenous communities. Despite the differences that these traditions might appear to have, the common denominator between all of them is that they all speak of this inner experience that takes place on an energetic level that permits humans to meet the changes beyond the body in the world around us and to adjust to them from within on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual basis to be able to create inner balance. So healing with the hands has been used by thousands of years by tribal medicine people on every continent. It has been a part of every religious tradition. Since the beginning of time, man has been aware of this mysterious energy that radiates from the palms of the hands. You know, when we have a stomach ache or a headache, or we have a bruise, or we're injured in some way, we put our hands to the affected areas almost as a reflex. And this action is entirely instinctive. People have known through experience of this action can sometimes remove or reduce pain in the area. And this instinctive reaction came to be systematized as hand healing, and a healing art form was developed in primitive man that was taught in various cultures throughout the world over thousands of years. Practitioners of hand healing would either lightly touch or just hover the hands over the body of the infirmed or the injured to find areas of imbalanced energy or blockages, as Pam was describing earlier. And when this was practiced, this quickly became a very important remedy in primitive medicine. And so a lot of these indigenous practices lived on through oral tradition and passed on from generation to generation. It's if we look beyond primitive man, we can find very early recordings in a variety of works that the Buddha and the Christ, among others, healed sick people by the laying on of hands. This practice was even noted in Greek history and mythology, and later in Roman history. As far as Greek mythology is concerned, the wise god Chiron taught Asclepius, the god of medicine, how to heal through the hands. And in Greece, you can see statues of him everywhere with these gilded hands, showing Greek reverence for this practice of hand healing. In Egyptian recordings dating as far back as 2750 BC, we have learned that the use of electric impulses for healing was employed. The infirmed were treated with the shocks of electric eels to restore flow and balance to the biofield. Personally, I would not want to experience that myself, but they used the tools that they had at the time. Later, we see that the Greeks induced healing through the use of magnetic fields generated by lodestone and magnetite. And later again, still, we learn of the Christ's ability to heal using the laying on of hands. And Jesus told his disciples in John 14:12, "He who believes in me will also do the works I do, and greater works than these will he do." Just thought I would include that. It's very valuable and important quote that many spiritual leaders have taught throughout time. Until 1884, here in the US, many forms of energy healing were employed. But once the Flexner Report of 1910 came out, it transformed the nature and process of medical education in America with the resulting elimination of proprietary schools. And this is when the establishment of the biomedical model became the gold standard of medical training. This is when we moved to a pharmaceutical and surgical model, and our mindset was altered as it pertained to whole health. And here began the separation of body and mind from the human spirit and the whole health systems that were left behind and eventually buried in the sand, so to speak. But here we are today. In hospitals, we are using devices such as EKGs. And what does the EKG measure? It is measuring the electromagnetic field created by the heart. With the ECG and brain mapping, we are also measuring and imaging the electromagnetic body of the brain. So we're using these machines to diagnose already. So it shouldn't be that far-fetched to imagine that energy receivers might also be used to heal. And we'll talk a little bit more about energy receivers later on in the discussion. So hand healing, energy healing through the hands is still used as part of traditional medicine in many indigenous cultures today. Within the last 40 years or so, various forms have made their way across countries all around the world. But all along, we are keeping in mind that hand healing is not a new method of healing. At the bottom of that slide, you see a quote by Donna Eden that states that energy healing is the oldest medicine of the earth. It is what kept our ancestors surviving. They had to heal one another in order to survive. So here on this slide, we are giving a name to that life force energy, that mysterious force. So from China, we have Qi. Japan, we have the Qi. ancient Indian and Tibetan yogic teachings, we have prana. And if any of you out there practice yoga, I'm sure you've used that term already, or you've heard your yoga instructor using that term. From Hebrew, we have ruach, and forgive me if I'm not pronouncing these perfectly. From the Sufis, we have baraka. From the Lakotas, we have wakan. From the Iraqi, we have orenda. The Turi Pygmies, we have magebe. And in the Christian tradition, we have what we know as the Holy Spirit. So if we delve a little bit deeper into the biofield discussion, we'll come back to present day right now to discuss the various ways that it's referred to in the West. So between all the layers of cellular communication that constantly goes on within the body, there is a more vast and a deeper level of communication that's going on besides circulatory, nervous, or hormonal systems. And this is happening within this biofield, the energetic atmosphere of the body, or the energy matrix of the body, as Dr. Oshman refers to it. We have all been taught that the brain and nervous system, like certainly I was when I was in my education, we're taught that these control the body. We're still taught that today. But beyond the brain and the nervous system is this living matrix of energy. And this matrix of energy can explain some of the most inexplicable things that occur in healing. It can also explain the speed that Olympian athletes and certainly the gold medalists achieve. It can explain the 70-mile-per-hour that the cheetah is able to run. How can these be explained by the brain and the nervous system? Biofield therapies all work within this communication system of the body. There are energy healing therapies and methods which use light, sound, magnetism, electromagnetism, chemical energy, electricity to tap into this other system of the body. And there are those that use no devices at all, just the hands of the appropriately trained energy healer. That energy healer can be any one of us. The first energy healer is in fact you. So consider that this energy that keeps your body working optimally is like your hard drive on your computer. And we know that having the best software means absolutely nothing if the hard drive is down, if it's not working. With the application of energy healing through the hands, it's quite phenomenal how quickly the body and mind of the recipient register and experience change. A client, and I've seen this in my own office myself, and many of my colleagues have, a client can be brought in to an energy healer with a level 7 or a level 10 pain and leave the office, leave the 1 hour long session or the 2 hour long session with a level 2 or less degree of pain after an energy healing treatment. Even 15 minutes of treatment has been found to be efficacious. If this sounds too good to be true, I will share my story with you. I did not believe in these things 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, before I experienced it for myself. My own nursing career came to a screeching halt after an accident, which left me with a fractured lumbar vertebra, severe damage to the surrounding tissue, a limp, numbness in the little toes of both of my feet, and the inability to sleep for more than 3, maybe 4 hours a night if I was lucky, with powerful analgesia. Nonetheless, because of the job that I had, I was the ideal patient. I was determined to pick up where I left off. I was determined to get back to my nursing career. I faithfully followed every instruction gave to me. I kept every orthopedic appointment, every physical therapy appointment. I did everything I was told to do because I was determined to return to where I was before. After 6 months, I was told by 2 orthopedic specialists in London that I would likely live on pain medication for the rest of my life. My limp might very well persist. I was told I could not return to nursing. And for my future personal life, I was told that my back would not withstand the strain that a full-term pregnancy would incur. I was specifically told to never get pregnant by my 2 very well-respected and beloved orthopedic specialists. So you can imagine, between the prognosis for the future, the severe pain, the sleep deprivation, and leaving my nursing career behind, I fell into a very, very deep depression. Fortunately, my spirit did not fade entirely. And I just decided one day, and I'll never forget the moment, to completely surrender. And I allowed spirit to navigate my ship thereafter. I realized that everything I was doing, out of all of it, nothing was getting me where I wanted to be. And I was still depressed. And so I had nothing to lose. 2 years later, I found myself 5,000 miles away at the McKinney Avenue Myotherapy Clinic in Dallas, Texas. To this day, getting there was a blur to me because I had not consciously decided to end up in that clinic, on that street for that matter. But I walked in, I asked them what services they offered, because at the time I had no idea why I was there. I was just following my inner compass. They told me what they offered. I requested a massage therapist, not at all expecting that one would be available for a walk-in, but magically one was. I'll never forget it. His name was Paul, and I remember him as a gentle giant of a man. So while we were in session together, he worked on every area of my body, completely avoiding my lower back entirely. Towards the end of the massage, Paul seemed to step away for a moment. And, I thought I just assumed he stepped away because I did not feel him touching me. I thought maybe he was going to retrieve some lotion or something. I had no idea. I just lay there on my stomach. And before I knew it, I began to feel heat moving up and down in waves, up and down my spine, and a sensation like pins and needles running down my arms and my legs, and feeling in the little toes that had been completely numb for the last 3 years. I found out at our next appointment together that Paul was actually transmitting energy healing with his hands above my body in that first session. Now, I just want to let you know of that experience in that first session. I had only noticed his hands were off of my body for maybe 3 to 5 minutes maximum. But after that one treatment, I went home that night and I slept through the night with no medication. It was the first full night's rest I had had in about 4 years. And in the days in between our healing sessions, I had no longer had the pain that before interfered with my life activities. And there was something that felt that it was lifted from me. That's the only way I could have explained it at the time. I felt like a lightness within me. 6 months later, and after I probably was seeing Paul, it varied between once a week to twice monthly. Within 6 months, I was exercising again. And my depression was replaced with this boundless sense of hope and excitement for the future that I hadn't experienced in years. And 1 year later, I was running. I was pounding the pavement with all the other runners, and I was weightlifting once more. My recovery was so phenomenal and lightning fast that I sought out energy healing training for myself because I wanted to be able to pass it on to help others in the way I was helped. 10 years later, as a side note, I had 2 completely uneventful pregnancies, and I carried 2 big, healthy babies to term. This is why biofield therapies have seen an increasing demand, especially since the early 2000s, and why specialists like myself can enjoy the word of mouth that brings new clients into our offices, because our clients are more apt to try out a new method of healing if their family members or friends have had positive and exciting outcomes themselves. Okay, so how does it work? This is the big question. This is what everybody wants to know. Obviously, in this, within the parameters of our meeting together tonight, I will give you what I can. Before we can understand the most basic concepts of how energy healing works, we have to take a short visit back to our high school science class and just briefly touch upon electricity and electromagnetism. Wasn't my favorite subject matter, but anyway, I'll try to make it as fun as possible. So we are electric by nature. Every aspect of our being is a conductor of electrical information. From every one of the 32.7 trillion cells in our bodies to our thoughts and our emotions, all communicate electrically and energetically with each other within our bodies. Each of these conductors of electrical information creates a unique electromagnetic field of its own. Every cell, soft, hard tissue, and therefore every organ, any emotions and thoughts all possess specific vibratory rates and frequencies. So when any tissue of the body is healthy, it pulses within a certain range of frequencies. But when it is unhealthy, it moves outside of that optimal range. And in understanding this, we know that the same is true, obviously, for every organ, for our skin, all soft and hard tissue. So energy is completely basic to everything we do. It's our whole experience of life in the world around us and within us. So biofield healing in energy medicine can be defined as the indicative and therapeutic use of energy. And these are ordinary energies we're speaking of here. There is nothing mythical about them. We're talking about heat, we're talking about light, sound, gravity, pressure, vibration, electricity, magnetism, electromagnetism, the basic forces that surround and penetrate us. So from an internal perspective, all aspects of the body, mind and emotions, are connected to and are affecting each other through a type of communication called electromagnetic induction. This means that a change in one electromagnetic field will induce a similar change in the electrical flow of its neighbor. Therefore, in that neighbor's electromagnetic field as well. Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction provides a scientifically based understanding of this interaction and explains the basic concept of holistic medicine. This artist here on this slide, he was honored by the government of Japan for contributing to the development of the arts in Japan. I think the statement sums it all up as it pertains to what the role of the hands is in biofield therapies. And in this quote here, we can also see an explanation offered as to what exactly happens in that biodynamic communication between the hands of the energy healer and the recipient's body and nervous tissue. So the hands are radars and transmitters of energy. So biofield healing with the hands involves energies of particular frequencies, intensities, wave shapes, and other characteristics that can stimulate the repair and regeneration of one or more tissues. Through the hands, powerful electromagnetic frequencies are emitted as life force energy is channeled through the healer and poured outward through his or her hands. These frequencies then induce healing within the recipient's biofield. There are two particular parts of the hand which play a very important, powerful role in energy transmission, and we're going to look at both of them right now very briefly. So this image here you see is of a gesture or a mudra called Laogong. So first, with hands, the tips of each of our fingers also acts as an energy transmitter. The most powerful being the tip of the index and the middle fingers. The gesture of the magic sword shown here, where the index and the middle fingers are pointing outwards, is a common hand gesture that's used for the transmission energy in practices such as Qigong. It also happens to be an ancient and sacred gesture or mudra used in other traditions. For example, painting showing portrayals of Jesus Christ initiating his disciples shows him using this particular gesture. Second, we have the Laogong point. This is the most powerful spot on the palm for the transmission of energy. In traditional Chinese medicine, this is known as the point at which the three rivers of the long, heart, and pericardium meridians descend through the length of the arms and meet. Taoist practitioners and other energy healers who use techniques to amplify and to balance another person's energy frequently use the palms of their hands as a place from which to emit healing energy. Around the world, again, we're going to give you another example of how this is portrayed in other traditions. Around the world, there are images of saints and healers from various spiritual traditions. You'll see this across the board, with depictions of them offering group blessings by extending the palms of their hands in the direction of the devotees. That's the Laogong point. When an appropriately trained energy practitioner facilitates energy healing for another person or themselves, three things occur. First, our hands act as the receivers or the radars for energy, reading the body's needs as the hands engage in a biodynamic conversation with the recipient's biofield. Here, the hands are able to sense magnetic qualities over the surface of the skin, letting the practitioner know the areas most in need of energy healing and treatment. Second, our hands act as transmitters of energy as they transmit healing frequencies of varying intensities, impulses, wavelengths, and amplitude, according to what the biofield of the recipient communicates a need for. Third, this transmission of new frequencies from the facilitator's hand induces similar changes in electrical flow within the recipient's own energy field and corresponding body parts. Here, the hands act as the energy balancers. So the energy healer's hands induce a frequency change into the unhealthy electromagnetic field of the area being treated, thus helping it to return to a healthy state through the process of magnetic induction. And energy healing with the hands focuses on balancing and removing energy congestion, also known as blockages. The hands receive information from the recipient's biofield to find and treat these areas of imbalance. Once the imbalances and disturbances are cleared, the body's subtle energy channels and centers can resume their task of integrating body, mind, and soul to restore health and to promote healing. So energy healing as health maintenance can also help prevent future issues by continuing the balancing of energy, of energy field disturbances, which could later result in illness if left untreated. Any questions on that so far? Okay. So our hands are blessed with their own intelligence and receptivity to the subtleties of the body. Apart from the many ways in which we currently use our hands, they can also be used to heal. No matter if our physical complaint is soft or hard tissue related, if it's psychological, if it's emotional, or even spiritual, we are all capable of learning how to become in tune with the healing power of our hands and how and when to apply it so that we can heal ourselves. And in doing so, provide our own adjunct to the healthcare that we're already receiving or may already be receiving. So can these waves of energy be measured? A lot of people ask me this question quite often. There is, just as we use medical instruments currently, such as the electrocardiogram, the electroencephalogram, the electromyogram, to measure electrical activity within the parts of the body, and the magnetocardiogram, the magnetoencephalogram, the magnetomyogram to measure the body's magnetic fields. There is a well-known device called the SQUID, or a superconducting quantum interference device, which is currently being used worldwide to study the electromagnetic nature of the human body. The final bullet point there on that slide again is by Dr. Oshman, where he states, the hands of appropriately trained healers have been studied and found to produce undeniably strong pulsing electromagnetic fields, whereas similar pulsing fields are not found around the hands of non-practicing healers. So what is the goal in energy healing? So naturally, we all want to feel better physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Absolutely. In all energy healing modalities where hand healing is employed, the goal is to shift and move and bring the body's energy field back into harmonious resonance. Blocked or stagnated energy causes adverse health conditions within a person's body, mind, and spiritual experience. Energy healing can correct the body's energy frequencies, raising them to their optimal harmonious levels. So think of this. Receiving energy healing is like changing the oil in your car. you completely drain out the old, sluggish, debris-filled oil from your car. And then you come along and you fill the oil pan with new, debris-free, clean and clear flowing oil. So when we facilitate energy healing with the hands, we actually alter the voltage gradients within tissue with measurable change in the energy of the physical, emotional, and psychological functioning of the recipient. After a session of energy healing, we're left feeling simultaneously very, very relaxed and energized on all levels, physical, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, as this is very much a holistic healing practice. Our body and its energy system want to be in perfect flow with life and healthy and vital. What the use of biofield therapy teaches us is how to get our body and its energy back into alignment with our lifestyle. But to do so, we have to make an effort to connect with our bodies regularly. Our bodies are not the enemy. They are not ticking time bombs. They are not on standby to fail us. What we've been missing is are the messages that have been coming to us, whether it's over a span of years or a span of months. And these messages have been hitting the brick wall, also known as our disconnected conscious minds. We shoot the messengers repeatedly when we casually pop over-the-counter medication into our mouths, time and time again. Or worse, we self-medicate with alcohol or with drugs. And sometimes our bodies have to resort to screaming at us in order to get our attention until we finally take notice. When we ignore energy, we miss 99% of reality. And in fact, when we comprehend that anything and everything involves energy, how can it be omitted from our understanding as it pertains to our health? When we leave energy out of care of the self, we miss a vast amount of healing potential. And for those of you way back there, this is Dr. Ronald Klatz, the president of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. You can find a lot of interviews with him online as well. I recently found out that he lives down the road or works down the road from where I used to live 10 years ago. So in mainstream Western society, hand healing has been treated either as a myth or a mysterious talent only given to a special few. Because of the growing body of evidence and an increase in demand for alternative practices and people's direct personal experience, many reputable teachers can be found to train us through the various forms of energy healing. So we have some of the most common biofield therapies that are known are Reiki, healing touch, cranial sacral therapy, and Qigong. But there are many others. The task is in finding a practice that resonates very deeply with you. That's your inner compass telling you that that's the right one for you to seek out, find a teacher for, get your training and practice for yourselves. All of these practices involve the adjustment of frequencies within the recipient's biofield using external energies that are introduced via the practitioner's hands. Energy healing with the hands is a natural energy therapy. It complements conventional medicine. There are no contraindications for receiving energy healing. They treat the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. And when you receive energy healing, it is very important for the recipient to know that it's not the healer's energy that you're receiving. It's not the healer's energy that's doing the healing. The healer is simply a conduit for the healing energy that's transmitted. Pam, I think your mic is off. Did you have a question?
Yes, it is. I'm on now, though. I turned it on because I wanted to know if you had a simple thing. I don't know how many in the audience have experienced energy healing, or if they perhaps do some energy healing themselves. Anybody out there an energy healer that's in the audience now?
Is that one hand in the back that I see raised?
Let me unmute Mary.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if there might be a way. Do you have a simple way that maybe they could try to feel energy?
We could do a key sensitivity exercise. That is so the energy that they would be sensing with this particular exercise would be their own energy. If anybody wants to try that out, I'm game for it. Okay,
do you guys want to try? I muted Mary again. Let me unmute her again because we're getting all that feedback. Let me try unmuting this one. Oh, wait a minute. That's Ann. Let me mute her. Unmute. Why don't you guys all come down here towards the screen and give something a try here. Let's get a little audience participation, guys.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Unmute. There we go.
Oh, then you freeze. Oh, there you go. So, Joanna, are you going to be sending the energy?
No. I'm going to have them experience it between their own hands.
Okay. Ooh, it's kind of echoing a little. Did you do it? Would you like us to have us rub our hands and move the energy?
If everybody's ready, yes, just briskly rub the palms together for about 10 seconds. Okay, now close your eyes.
I think we have to have Pam turn off her mute so it's not echoing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. I muted Joanna.
Okay. All right. Okay. So close your eyes. Hold. What I'd like to invite you to do first is let's start all over. Let's get into a comfortable position in those seats that we cannot move around. I know usually when I have folks try this out, I tell them if you feel inclined to turn in any particular direction to do so, but obviously you guys can't. But Pam, you can.
Yes.
So, okay. So just imagine that there's like a thread from the top of your heads that's just pulling you straight. So you don't want a perfectly erect spine. You want to maintain some natural curvature to your spine. Just soften the lumbar region and obviously the neck, dropping the shoulders back and down. Okay. Let's take a few deep breaths, rhythmic breaths. We don't want to make them so deep that they become uncomfortable. Think of the kind of breath that you take on the first day of vacation, when you've just opened the taxi door and you're in the mountains on the beach and you set foot outside your car and you go, and when you know you're on vacation. That kind of refreshing, satisfying, deep breath. So let's just breathe that way for a short while. Now bring the palms into a prayer position right over the heart chakra. And your elbows should just be very gently and lightly splayed outwards. You don't want to keep the arms rigid, pushing the elbows down. You want to let the elbows splay out a little bit. Now, let's briskly rub the palms of our hands together for 10 seconds. And stop. Let's separate the palms, holding them out about 6 inches apart. And turn just slightly in towards our mouths. If you need to open your eyes to see what I'm doing, please feel free to do so. And then close your eyes again. And now what we're going to do, for those of you who have experienced this before, you will more than likely skip this step. But you want to imagine you're taking in nice deep breath. And as you exhale through the mouth into the space between the palms of your hands, very gently. And as you do so, you imagine that you're filling that space with a white vapor. You continue your breathing in through your nose and exhaling gently between the palms, increasing the space, filling it with that white vapor. With every breath, you feel that space becoming more and more filled with that white vapor. At this point, you can begin to play with that space between your palms by slowly and gently pulling your palms slightly apart and bringing them back together again. Gently back and forth, a nice and slow movement. Continuing to breathe through the nostrils and exhaling that white vapor back into that space between the hands. You might eventually begin to sense that there is like a ball that you can play with, pressure between the palms of your hands. Continue playing with that until you feel almost as though there's something preventing you from bringing the palms of your hands closer together. So don't try to force it. But just play with it. And get a sense of how large or how small your ball is in front of you. Normally, I would lead people through this exercise for about 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to abbreviate it a little bit. So, in a moment, we're going to stop exhaling through the mouth and blowing that white vapor through the palms of the hands. And we're just going to continue to breathe rhythmically and comfortably through the nostrils. You can play with your ball or find your ball a bit more. Eventually, you're going to begin to feel that the palms slowly become magnetically attracted to one another again. So don't force this, just allow it to unfold naturally. Just let it happen on its own. Just allowing the hands to draw towards one another. Sometimes this part of the exercise takes a bit longer than sensing the ball that we play with at the beginning. But just let it happen on its own. If you're experiencing any discomfort in your shoulders or your back, just go ahead and just gently readjust your posture. Just remember to keep those elbows slightly splayed. And we're just going to allow our palms to come together on their own. If you're ahead of me and your palms have already met in the center of your chest, just place your attention on the spaces between the palms. If you have sensitivity and awareness, so where the minor chakra in your palms are, just place your attention here. Otherwise, just put your attention on the middle fingers that are now touching. And we've collapsed our ball of vapor. Now for this next step, as you inhale, imagine that you are also inhaling through the fingertips. And that the breath through the fingertips flows down the palms of your hands, down past your wrists, down your forearms, into your elbows. As you exhale, the breath leaves your elbows, back up your forearms, back past your wrists, through the palms of your hands, and back out through the fingertips. And continue to breathe this way again for a few more breaths. As you inhale, imagine you're inhaling through the fingertips again, through the breath traveling down your arms to your elbows. And then exhaling out again with the breath leaving your elbows, back up your arms to your hands and out through the fingertips. And in the inhalation, imagine that the breath flowing through your fingertips down to your elbows is warm. And on the exhale, imagine it as coolness, leaving your arms and exiting through your fingertips. Continue to enjoy the circulation of energy down through your hands and your arms and back up again for a few more breaths. If someone was to come and stand over you right now and place that palm horizontally over your fingertips, the energy that they would sense would be palpable. When you feel you're ready to open your eyes, please do so slowly and gently. And I'll meet you back in the room in a moment.
So very good.
So does anybody want to share what they experienced in that exercise? Would anybody like to?
Let me unmute.
Okay. Okay.
Let's see if I can. Let's try this one. Okay.
Okay.
Got one computer unmuted there, Mary, at the desktop. Do you think? Can you say something and see if we hear you? No, I'm not hearing. So let me switch.
Okay.
Okay, Mary, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Yeah, we get feedback on this, unfortunately. I don't know what to do about that.
Nothing you can do.
How'd it go there, guys?
Would anybody like to share any sensations that came up?
Teresa will. I think Pam has to mute again. I'm sorry, Pam. There we go.
I could feel the sense of the ball,
Uh-huh.
but I never really felt the magnet, so that it could influence each other. I muted you, Joanna. I can't seem to stop it. No.
Mute me one sec. Oh, thank you. Ideally, we would have had anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to conduct this exercise to get the full benefit of the experience. I'm very pleased that you were able to sense the ball. That was probably one of the biggest parts of this exercise, was being able to sense that ball. That was your own key that you were feeling there with that ball. That was your own energy. The magnetic attraction of the palms, I did, and I apologize, I did have to go through that part a little bit faster. But if you were able to take more time with that exercise, you would have been able to feel the sensation of that powerful magnetic attraction, palm to palm.
Yeah, I had never tried that before, so it was almost like when you said to do that, before I knew anything about this, years ago when I got my bachelor's degree, decades ago, I was in this psychology of adjustment class, and we were talking about hypnosis, and he had us make a ball in between our hands, and I had no clue what that was at the time. So I could make that ball real easy, but it was real interesting that when you wanted to reverse it, and I'd never tried reversing it before in all these years, and it was just like, it doesn't
not happening.
go anywhere.
I know. I know. That takes time. I really, I wish we had like half an hour to do it, because that's pretty fun.
So what's is there a certain purpose to doing the attraction versus the ball of energy?
The full sensation of your ki. First of all, the creating of the space. That ball of energy there, the ball of ki, or the ball of chi, or prana, or whatever. And then the magnetic attraction of the centers in the palm of the ki retracting as you visualize it, and the palms being inexplicably drawn together. I mean, in as much as you felt that you couldn't push your palms together at the beginning, you wouldn't be able to stop your palms from pulling together in that second part.
Okay. Now, when I got them together, then it was like they didn't want to come back apart.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then in the section when we were breathing through the fingertips and letting it flow back and forth in a circulatory fashion through the arms, that was experiencing the flow. Well, what it's like to experience the flow of our own energy in that particular area.
Yeah, that was your whole presentation was a wonderful explanation of energy and the biofield, and that was fabulous. So, did you have any more, or did we get to the end, or?
No, I didn't get to the end. Let's see, where are we? Oh, we're at 7:00. I guess what I would like to just, I'll just show you guys. I'm sure that you guys are familiar with some of these numbers. Some of you are nurses, some of you are energy healers yourselves. Just some old estimates from 2007. They're currently redoing their studies right now to just get a new gauge on public awareness and use of different forms of biofuel therapy. These are just very quickly, these are just, I think it's 11 of 65 hospitals, prestigious hospitals here in the US that currently have either a clinic on site, or they bring energy healers to their hospital or their clinic setting to provide energy healing as part of their program of care.
Well, and Beaumont Hospital has an integrative medical center too, and I think they might have that as well there in the Metro Detroit area. We were
wonderful. Yeah, here in Memphis at Labanas, which is the last one on my list, this was a pretty recent development. Actually, one of my students is on the team there within the palliative care department, and she got with the medical director, and they got into discussion about adding biofield therapy to their program of care, and it's been received with great success, and I will actually be joining them on a volunteer basis in April. Awesome. So yeah, Memphis is waking up like so many other places in the US. It's beautiful, it's wonderful. We are about 15 to 20 years behind the rest of the world in utilizing these invaluable resources.
Well, and look at the United States statistics on how well we're doing.
I know. We're the sickest nation. I know we've we're going over at this point. I just wanted to state, in as much as obviously I am a super fan of let me just jump through to my fan and say, oh, this is a whole segment on energy blocks and what causes them. Here's some of my favorites. There's one of my favorites, Dr. Noam Shealy.
Mm-hmm.
The discussion between alternative medicine and conventional allopathic medicine. There's a lot of push and pull, and I think it's more of a language issue. I think what it really all comes down to is not an us versus them. It needs to be more of a collaborative approach. Sure, we have differing perspectives, but I think in the alchemy of health, it is that collaboration of all of those differing perspectives, not just the majority perspective, that will support public health.
Yes.
Personal, private health.
We could transfer that to the political system as well.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wouldn't that be a concept?
That would be a concept. That's right. That's right. Can I just wrap up quickly and say it's my most heartfelt wish that this incredibly condensed discussion on energy healing within the biofield, though it's not complete because of the restrictions of time, will provide anyone out there watching this, in the audience, with some hope and turn on a light or light a fire of excitement in them, that knowing that you can learn a form of healing on your own. Nature is not complicated. We make it complicated. A lot of these processes are very simple to learn and to implement into our lives. So there are many different, there's several methods that we can choose from. We just have to allow ourselves to be guided towards the right one for us. The healing practice that we adopt will mobilize our inner forces, that will enhance our health and well-being, that will empower our minds, that will fill our hearts and brighten our spirits for as long as we use these tools. Humankind today has inherited a truly profound and global legacy in energy healing from our ancestors. No matter what our family of origin is, everyone can benefit from any one of these therapies.
Very good. Thank you. Thank
you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much to you all.